Welcome back, guys. If you are just joining us, this is INX Prime Live. Remember, we are on your screens every single Monday to Friday between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Now, tonight we are joined by someone who is seen as a fitness expert, but also the founder of Moetivation. It is an inspiration and motivational platform that is out there to inspire and change the lives of many people out there, more specifically looking a lot at the males in the country and around the world. Now, we do know that there is quite an important correlation between men's health and men's mental health in that sense, but also their relationship with fitness and trying to be able to link the two together. Now, we are going to be chatting to Mohamed Cassim to find out a little bit more about his journey, but also more specifically on how men can actually use fitness and also gymming, for example, exercise, to be able to get over all of the stresses of the world. Mohamed, thank you so much for joining us this evening on INX Prime Live.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure having you. And I mean, a lot of conversations have to be had when it comes to things like this. I think there's a lot of stress out there for men in particular. But before we get on to that, let's just talk about you. You know, you are someone who is in the space of health as well as in terms of fitness. What got you onto the journey of both of those aspects?
When I got into fitness, I think I was about 19 years old, went through a bit of a family turmoil. My parents got divorced. It was during my matric year, and I had no idea which way to go. And I had all this anger built up inside of me, and I needed to find a way to release it. And I was always a sporty type of a person. I loved football, played it my entire life. And I decided, you know what, one day there was a friend of mine going to the gym, let me jump in with him. And I lifted up the first weight and I got addicted to it completely. But over time I realized that as good as it is for the body, this weightlifting, this training was helping my mind. And I understood the mind was more important than the body. So if I could sort the mind out, the body would take care of itself.
Yeah, and I think that's the one misconception a lot of people have, is that they focus so much on the physical aspect, on making sure that they look, aesthetically appealing or whatever it might be. But it comes to fixing both of the elements, right? There's a lot of discipline, there's a lot of mindset changes that comes with being, having the ability and the consistency to be able to get those results as well. I just want to touch on coping mechanisms as well. Now, we're looking at people using exercise and gymming. A lot of men and women also use it as a way to cope with all the stresses of the world as well. Do you think it's something that people should really focus on in terms of using it as a coping mechanism, or should we look at other alternatives?
I think it's a great coping mechanism because it releases dopamine in your body, it releases endorphins in your body. These are the happy chemicals we need to live a happy, healthy life. And if we look at life where all the stresses are coming down and cortisol is being released constantly in our body, we need to find a way to release it in a healthy way. So not getting addicted to unhealthy things. And work can be unhealthy as well. You can get addicted to work and work your way down to an absolute burnout without finding some sort of a way of releasing all this tension inside of us. And for me, weightlifting was that way of releasing it. But whether you're running, weightlifting, cycling, swimming, as long as you are moving, we were really built to move. And if we're going to sit stagnant, all that's going to happen is our mind is going to stagnate. And as Bruce Lee once so beautifully put it, he said, stagnant water gets stale.
I mean, that's very powerful as well. I just want to touch on even the concept of what other people are doing out there. You're talking about swimming. People are doing paddle quite a lot these days. And it's a nice way for people to, socialize, network, but also for them to then, cope with all the stresses in such a good, healthy way. You spoke about the fact that, obviously doing too much of something is never a good thing. So you want to not get addicted to anything. I mean, even one of those things that people tend to somehow get addicted to is also like the concept of too much of exercise or too much of gym. How would you know, what are some of the signs for some of the men and women out there when they're over-exercising, or maybe perhaps they're addicted too much to the concept of gymming?
I think pain is one of the greatest blessings that we could ever get. And when your body starts to feel pain in places, in uncomfortable ways, it is your body's way of telling you it's too much, whether it's too much of stress, too much of work, too much of training, too much of anything for that matter. When you start feeling the pain, don't just brush it aside. No pain, no gain. I actually don't believe in that. We have to actually listen to our pain and use that to guide us into finding a balance that will suit us as human beings. And each person is different, and each person's burnout level or stress level is very different. So you as an individual need to look at yourself, go internal, know what is the issues you have and how far you can push it.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important thing. Even just looking at the gym environment as well, we are getting some comments and questions coming in from social media. I mean, Wasim was saying now, he made a comment and he says he feels often very demotivated because he goes to the gym and he looks on his left and right, and sometimes he's not where these people are, and I want to just talk about that in particular. We're talking about comparison and comparing yourself to other people around you. Why is it such a negative thing for people to go out and compare themselves all the time to the people around them?
From the time we were born, we were being compared to those around us. Once we were in school, we were being compared. And nobody ever taught us that the only comparison should happen inside of you. So Wasim, if you look to your left and you're comparing yourself to that guy, or you look to your right and you're comparing yourself to that guy, look in front of you and compare yourself to the guy in the mirror, because that's your only competition in life. If you can fix him, nothing else matters.
Yeah, and that's very, very important. I think, spending time on self-confidence and self-development plays such an important role. Motivation, I want to touch on something else. We're looking at the concept and we're going back to the whole fitness journey element of it. There's people out there that maybe perhaps are starting their fitness journey. They're starting to get into gymming or exercise or whatever it might be. What advice or tips do you have for them when it comes to finding a balanced lifestyle? So it's, obviously getting the hours in, putting the effort in, but also then having a happy life where you are doing other aspects of your life as well.
A lot of people might disagree with me with this one, but I do believe don't ever go in and give 100% every single day. If you give you 100% every day, you're going to need rest days in between. Otherwise, the body will break. And if you need rest days in between, you'd probably get 3 days of workouts a week, which will take you to about 150 workouts a year.
Yeah.
However, if you go in at 70% every single day, and you go in 6 days a week, you're getting 300 workouts a year, you're finding more consistency, and if 1 or 2 days you need to push it to that 100%, you're capable of doing it. So don't go and kill yourself. Understand you're doing this for your benefit, for your health benefit, and not the compliments of those around you saying, wow, you've gone so big, wow, you look so good. If you need those compliments, again, go internal and see where this void inside of you is, and try and fill it with your own self-love, your own self-worth, so that whatever you put out there comes from a place of uniqueness within you.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I just want to touch on some of the other comments and questions coming in. I mean, we have a question from Ibrahim as well, and he's speaking about the importance of mindset. He wants to know how important is mindset when it comes to developing someone in terms of their own personal development and growth. Does it play a very important role?
Mindset's extremely important, but I think there's another factor that a lot of us forget, and that's heart set.
Okay.
And our heart is where all our emotions actually live. So we spend our entire life trying to still our mind and trying to calm our mind, when the stillness actually comes from our heart. And if we can get back in touch with our heart, our root, the actual organ that was beating before any part of you was actually built inside the womb of your mother, when you actually touch on that, you can start stilling everything else. So find stillness of heart, the mind will follow. Once the mind follows, the body will follow, and then you have an alignment of heart, head, and hand.
I love that. Motivation, before we do let you go as well, I mean, you're one of, if not, one of the best motivational speakers out there. You're also someone who really does inspire a lot of people. And you can see that clearly from the amount of support you get from social media. People really tend to really enjoy your content, and rightfully so. There's a lot of young people that are inspired and motivated by you. They look at you as a mentor as well. What advice do you have for a lot of our young people in South Africa? I mean, we have a high unemployment rate, unfortunately, in South Africa. There's a lot of issues that we have, but we do have ambitious young people, right? What advice do you have for them?
That we've been taught in this world that everything is limited. We've been taught that space in a university is limited, space in a school is limited, space in a stadium is limited, space everywhere around us is limited. But we've actually not learned that things like love and giving and joy, these things are unlimited. So let us search for the things that are unlimited, and we'll attract that in our life. Because the truth is, in life, you do not get what you want, you get what you are.
I love that. And just in closing also, before we do let you go, I mean, a lot of people, like I said, wanted to actually really be mentored by you. Is that something that you do offer in terms of mentorship? And also, where can people see you, maybe perhaps at a next talk or at a next event?
So yes, there is two mentorship programs that I run. One is the youth mentorship program, of course, letting the youth understand their value, and of course, letting them know that they are going to be our future. So we need powerful leaders going forward. And then there's the male mentorship program, and that's for men that are going through a tough time, men that are not understanding their purpose, and we help them get out of this rut that they're in and put them back on the pedestal where they actually belong. And you can catch me on social media across all platforms. My handle is Moetivation SA. That's Moetivation SA. Catch me on there. I always put up all of my talks and everything as well.
Perfect. Motivation. I mean, it's been an absolute honor to have you on the show as well. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
And it's been an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Perfect.